Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to TradeStation. Today's topic is order entry with keyboard trading. So we're going to talk about a functionality that has been added to chart trading to make your trading a little bit more efficient and fast. Not everybody's going to like this functionality. You know, some people like the traditional way of placing orders, like going to the trade bar, putting in their symbol, their quantity, selecting their options, and placing the trade. A lot of other traders like the speed and functionality of just pressing a hotkey and being able to place a trade. So we're going to concentrate on that functionality that allows you to place or press a hotkey combination that actually places a trade. I was talking to one of my colleagues that we should have scheduled this class at a different time so that we can get some market action. But we're going to try to find a market where to place some trades and try to see how you can use this functionality to place your trades as easy as possible. But before we get started, as we do in every presentation here at TradeStation, we do have to go over some disclosure information. Let me pull it up here on the screen. Keep in mind that every symbol and idea that I talk about is for educational purposes only. It is not a recommendation of TradeStation. Active trading is not suitable for everyone, especially when it comes to trading options and futures that carry a high degree of risk. If anybody would like to read more about the disclosure information, please visit our website at tradestation.com, and you'll find a lot of disclosure links at the bottom of the page. Welcome everyone to this class. Let's talk about some interactivity and how you can communicate with me. We have many people connected in class today, so it's going to be a little bit challenging for me to answer every single question that comes into the chat. For this presentation, let's just focus on the chat functionality of Zoom. So I'm going to be glancing at the chat in case you have a question, you need a little bit of clarification on a certain feature. I'm going to be looking at the chat so that I can answer questions live. Also, if you notice in the chat window at the very bottom, you can choose who is it that is going to see your chat comment. And I believe that by default is set to only panelists. We only have a couple panelists here in class. So if you want your comment, if you want your question to be seen by all attendees in the class, make sure that you change the recipient of your chat to all panelists and attendees. And that way everyone can benefit from the interactivity of the class. To talk a little bit about what we are doing here at TradeStation, we are hosting two channels at youcantrade.com. The website is youcantrade.com. The two channels are all based on education for the TradeStation user. One of the channels is completely free, is the Getting Started with TradeStation, and you can join the community of youcantrade.com, and you can benefit from weekly live classes and Q&A sessions that we do to help you use our technology. If you're ready to take your TradeStation use to the next level, we do have the TradeStation Masterclass. This is the same masterclass that we used to do in a live setting where you had to come to a class and you were in a classroom environment with the instructors. We have transformed that class into an online version where you can join a channel and you can still benefit from all the content that we delivered in the masterclass in-person class. So check it out. There's a 14-day trial of the masterclass. You have access to all the content when you sign up for the masterclass. And after that is only $59 a month. So take advantage of the free trial and see if it's something that you'd like to subscribe to. All right, I'm going to switch over to my TradeStation platform. Give me just a moment. Here's my TradeStation. As I said earlier, we're going to talk about a feature in TradeStation that allows you to place trades by pressing a hotkey combination. I also said that this feature has been fully integrated into chart trading. We do have another way in which you can place trades using hotkeys, and that's with the use of macros. But we're not going to talk about macros in this class so that we not complicate the content. We want to keep things simple. And to a certain point, to a certain extent, the functionality that is in chart trading will give you a little bit more flexibility than what you find in the macro features. So let's go ahead and get started here on the TradeStation platform. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the position graph bar. I'm going to do that because as I enter positions and I close out positions, I want you to see those positions appear and disappear at the top of my TradeStation. So let me go ahead and dock my position graph bar here to the top, and I'm going to get started with a chart analysis window. All right, let me pull it up. Perfect. So this is a chart on the S&P 500. I have selected futures because it's one of the markets that is still open, and I can place some trades right here, some examples and where you can see the functionality in action. Okay, let me see if I can answer some questions as we go along. Can we trade options using keyboard trading? I don't see a reason why not. You just have to pull up an options right here in a chart. Can I manage Futures Plus trades in TradeStation? Not at this moment. Separate platforms, we do have a class on Futures Plus. And when it comes to duration, GTC and GTD, we'll take a look at some of the durations here as we place some trades. Can you send a limit buy order 2 cents below the bid? Yes, and we're going to do that with a hotkey combination. I'll show you that right here on the TradeStation chart. In order for you to have access to keyboard trading right here on the TradeStation chart, you have to enable chart trading. And chart trading is enabled by clicking on a button here on the toolbar. As you hover over the toolbar buttons here at the top of the chart, you're going to see the name for that toolbar button. And you're going to find one that's called chart trading. It's right between style and data. I click it, and that is going to open up a chart trading bar here on the right-hand side of my chart. I am using a high resolution monitor here, and sometimes TradeStation has some resizing issues. I'm not sure if it's happened to you, but when you use a high resolution monitor, you may see things like this. For example, my bar here on the right opened up, but it's not the right size. You see this gray area on the right-hand side? It does that automatically, but I can resize the bar here that opened up on the right and make it the size that I want. I'm just going to position my cursor right here on the edge, and I'm going to drag it here so that it's the right size here on the right-hand side of my TradeStation chart. So in order for me to place trades, I know that when I enable chart trading, I can use a combination of keyboard and mouse to place trades right here on the chart. But I'm going to go and take this one step further and show you where keyboard trading is enabled. If you look over here on the trade bar on the right side of the chart, if I scroll all the way down, you're going to see a checkbox that says Enable Keyboard Trading. So our presentation is going to be based on that functionality. When I click on that checkbox, first of all, I get a disclosure window. You're going to get that on your TradeStation as well. Pretty much here, it says that by pressing keys, you're going to be placing trades onto the market. Of course, if you haven't mapped any hotkeys, very few are going to work. I think we do a little bit of work for you, and some of the actions are going to be already mapped for you. But the first thing that you need to do when you enable keyboard trading is to go there and map some keys so that you know beforehand what are the key combinations that are going to place the trades for me. All right. But it's not until I click on this enable button on this dialog that my keyboard trading is going to be turned on. I'm going to click on enable and just show you how the keyboard trading behaves. As soon as I click enable, there's a couple things happening on my chart trading that tell you that keyboard trading is turned on. First of all, does everybody see that yellow outline that shows up around the trade bar on my chart trading? If I wasn't, projecting my screen in this Zoom webinar, you would probably see the whole yellow outline. It'll show up on your TradeStation. The yellow outline just pretty much tells you, watch out, you have keyboard trading on, and by pressing hotkeys, you may be placing trades into the market. Another indicator that keyboard trading is turned on is this yellow button that you see here on the top right corner of the chart. Keyboard trading is turned on, all right? If you click away from the chart, and this is something really cool. If you click away from the chart, let me resize this chart so you see exactly what I'm talking about. I'm going to go to apps and I'm going to open up, let's see, a time and sales window. All right, so this is time and sales. It's over here on the left-hand side. But I want you guys to see that when I click on the time and sales, the yellow outline on chart trading goes away. And the green or the yellow dot that we were seeing before just is replaced with a message that says click chart to, it doesn't have the full message, but if I bring the chart over, no, it's a positioning issue, but pretty much it says you have to click on the chart in order to activate it again. And I wanted to show you this because when you click away from TradeStation, keyboard trading is disabled. That way you don't have to be worried or concerned that you're going to be typing up an email and at the same time you're going to be placing trades into the market, because as soon as this chart becomes inactive, then keyboard trading is disabled. And that even happens within TradeStation. Notice that if I click on a different application, my keyboard trading is disabled. I have to click on the chart one time in order to activate keyboard trading again. Does that make sense? So it's something that is done for your protection. As soon as the chart trading functionality is not active anymore, it just disables the keyboard trading. Let me go ahead and get rid of this time and sales and resize the chart one more time. I see a lot of activity going on here in the chat. Let's see if I'm able to answer some questions. Is it possible to set a stop loss with a macro? Yes, it is. Not something we're going to cover in this class, but it is something you can do. I noticed that background dragon icon is no longer in TradeStation. The thing on TradeStation 10 is that there's no button to activate it. It's active as soon as you click. So I can click on the prices here on the left and activate background dragon without having a separate button for that. Does keyboard trading work in old TradeStation versions? I believe not. So I believe this is only accessible on TradeStation 10. It's one of the new versions of chart trading. Sometimes the yellow dot gets in the way, as does the text from orders. Is there a way to reposition these? That's a question from Reese. Yes, a lot of the functionality or a lot of the things that are happening with keyboard trading are controlled by the settings button here on the trade bar. Does everybody see at the bottom of my trade bar, there is a little gear? It'll probably look bigger on your chart trading. So when you click on that little gear, it'll go to the settings of chart trading. Let me pull them up here on the screen. And you can change some of those settings that are part of the keyboard functionality. For example, the position of the preview, keyboard order preview, you can change it by specifying the percentage of the chart, where the location is going to be, okay? Can we link it to level 2? I don't see a reason why not. Yes, this presentation is recorded, so you can watch it on YouTube later. So if you miss anything during the presentation, don't stress out. We're going to have the recording available for you so that you can play it back. I wish I'd have time, Kim, to show you how to set up an alert. This is not the class for it, although we have a lot of educational videos on You Can Trade and also on TradeStation.com that help you with that, all right? Chris, the button to click and drag, there's no button. You just click and drag and it automatically. So you don't have to click the button to actually act it. Do I recommend upgrading to 10? I always recommend, using the most recent version. It has all the bells and whistles. It's the one that we're doing all the engineering work on. So there's always a benefit to upgrading to 10. So let's go ahead and get started. So, okay, I enabled keyboard trading. The next step is to actually map your keys to the orders that you want to place. Let's go and take a look. I'm going to click here on the ellipsis. Notice that next to the checkbox that you check in order to enable this functionality, you see the 3 dots on the right. And we know that in TradeStation, when you see a button with 3 dots, that's usually for formatting or settings that control the functionality. I'm going to click on those 3 buttons. and 3 dots. It's a button with 3 dots. And look at all the different options I have here. First of all, there's 5 different tabs that you can go through. You have the order functionality, price, quantity, route, and then you have other functionality that you can also map a hotkey to. In the orders section, I've already mapped some order execution so that you have them as an example. But in order for you to add a hotkey, you just click on the add button. If you find something that already has a hotkey combination, you can click on edit remove to edit the keys that are used for that specific action. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the ones that are turned on here for me. For example, buy or cover at market. I have mine set to Control B. If I wanted to edit that, I just click on edit. And this is the action key editor where you select what modifier key you're going to be using, either Control or Alt, and then what key you're going to be using in combination with that modifier. So you can do Control and a specific letter or a function key as they appear here on this menu. The one that I selected was Control B to buy at market. And when I press Control B on my keyboard, it'll do that. It'll buy at market, whatever quantity I specify here on the trade bar. I'm going to show you that as the first example of keyboard trading. But I want you guys to also take a look at what is the keyboard combination for selling. Sell at market, I mapped it to Control S. So Control B to buy at market, Control S to sell at market. Let me show you those two keys right now before I go further and show you some other functionality. So here on my chart, if I do Control B,
order filled.
I'm not sure if you can hear my audible confirmation. Let me go ahead and make my volume a little bit higher so that you can see or you can hear my order filled confirmations, but I just got filled in one contract. Why one contract? Because the quantity right here in my trade bar is 1. If I were to adjust this to 4 and then click back on the chart, whenever I do Control B again,
order filled.
Take a look at the size of my position. Now I'm long 5 contracts. So the keyboard combination Control B, which is buy at market, I mapped it to buy at market. It's always going to look at the quantity that you specify up here. Very convenient. So let's go ahead and close that. I also can use the P here next to the quantity. A lot of TradeStation users do not know what the P is next to quantity. This P will look into my account and see how many shares or how many contracts I have on this particular symbol. So I know that I am long 5 because that's what I traded just now. But a lot of times, you know, if you are in the market and out of the market in multiple steps, at a certain point, you may not completely remember how many shares or how many contracts you have. Hopefully you do. But the P over here is a quick way for it to populate the quantity box with exactly the number of shares you have. That way you don't have to type it manually. TradeStation searches for that amount and puts it right there in the box. I'm going to click on P, and you can see how the box changes to 5 automatically. So in order for me to get out of that trade, what I'm going to do is I'm going to press my hotkey to get out of that trade. So Control S is my selling combination to sell at market. I'm going to do Control S.
Order filled.
And you can see how the position line goes away. I'm out of the trade. Now that happened very quickly. Nowadays, in markets that are moving so fast, you can appreciate how interesting this functionality becomes, because with a simple hotkey combination, you can place trades into the market, even if it's for a small amount. All right, let's see. All right, background dragging. We talked about background dragging. It's turned on by clicking and dragging on the screen. Someone's asking if this is available on the desktop or can you do this on the website version as well? This is only available on the desktop version, just to clarify. Does it manage selling or covering half or a quarter of your position? Yes, it can. We'll take a look at that in a moment. So let's go ahead. Can you use to buy or stop limit orders with the hotkey? We don't have the ability to send stop limit or yes, we stop limit orders at the moment. So we can only do limit orders, stop orders, and market orders. But if you're looking for stop limit orders, this is a feature that doesn't support that at the moment. So to reverse, would you select Control S again? You can do Control S and it'll sell 5 contracts, correct? It'll go short the 5 contracts. The hotkey to sell, again, that is a hotkey that I mapped myself. If you go into the settings of your hotkey, you may have to add the hotkey. Remember that these are things that I probably configured before the class, so it may not be the same for you. So what I recommend you guys do is once you enable the keyboard trading functionality at the bottom of the chart trading, you click on the ellipsis button on the right to figure out what hotkey combination is it that you're going to be using for certain actions. You know, for my buy at market, I have Control B, and for sell at market, I have Control S. But I want you to look at other examples here. Let's take a look at, for example, limit. Limit is, I have the B as well for buy, but the modifier is the Alt key. So whenever I want to do a market order, I do Control B. But if I want to modify the price, I do Alt B, and that provides me the ability to send a limit order. But with the limit order, I also want you guys to pay attention to price and quantity. Why? Because price allows you to map a key to increase or decrease the price. This is important. Notice how we have the down arrow and the up arrow as the keys to actually modify the price. You can change the amount that pressing the key changes the price. In this case, it's just going to do 1 tick, which I'm going to leave it as default so you can see how the functionality works, but you can come here and modify that if you want. And for the quantity, notice that you can use the page down or the page up to increase or decrease the quantity if you want to. By the way, somebody asked about if you wanted to close out half or a quarter of a position. This is where you set that. Notice that I have some hotkeys here that set the quantity to 100%, 10%, 25%, or 30%. So I have certain hotkeys that you can press in order to select a specific quantity. So Control 3 or Control 2 actually just is 25% of my quantity. So let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to come over here to my graph. The S&P 500 is trading at 31.96. If I do Alt B, take a look. This is pretty cool. You know, I think they did a very good job at designing hotkey, because as soon as you do Alt B, it doesn't place a trade yet. It actually gives you a visual. That horizontal line is my limit order that hasn't been placed yet. It shows me the price of 31.95.25, and it's going to hit it if it's going to pass it if I don't, press enter. But it's waiting for my confirmation before it sends the order. That line that you see there is not an order yet. Now, I know that if I press the up arrow or the down arrow key on my keyboard, I'm going to change the price. So if I go down arrow, notice how the line moves with my down arrow. And if I go up, the same happens. So up arrow and down arrow allows you to move that line. And also the quantity. I should have a quantity right here. I think it's jumbled up because of my screen resolution, but this yellow box that you see here gives you the symbol, it gives you the price, and it also gives you the quantity that you're about to trade. And I can see the 5 right behind the price of 31.93. But if I do page down, let me see where my page down is. Page down will drop the quantity by 1. I lost my page down here. Okay, function page down. So I'm not sure if you're able to see the 4 right beneath that or under the 31.93, but I'm going to press it until I have 1 contract. And then once I'm ready, it says 31.93. All I need to do is press the enter key, and that is my order to buy 1 contract at 31.93. You're probably saying, oh, that's way too many key presses in order to place a trade. But hold on just a moment. The more familiar and the more comfortable you become with the functionality, the easier it'll become. The easier it'll be for you to place those trades. Now, let's say, for example, that you change your mind. Let's say, for example, that you want to buy this at 31.94 instead of the 31.93. This is what I need to do. I just press the tab key. When you press the tab key, it'll go to the active order. Notice how it highlights it with a horizontal row. And I can use the up arrow key to change the price to what I want. In this case, 31.94. And when I'm ready, I press the enter key, and then my order is placed. To remove the horizontal, I just hit the escape key. This is all done with keyboard. So if you're a person that likes keyboard hotkeys, this is heaven for you. I know you can click on that line and drag it. You know, those are for people that like to use the mouse. But if you like to work on the keyboard, you can have all these keyboard combinations and hotkeys in order to place your trades. Not only place them, but also be able to adjust those trades if you need to. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the questions here. When moving the order line, if you move the line, let's say, yeah, this is an order and a question from Hiram. If I move that line and I put it above the current market price, it'll just fill me automatically. It'll be a marketable limit order. Okay. If you don't see enable keyboard trading, this is for Mark. It's probably because you're using an older version of TradeStation. This is only available on TradeStation 10, so it's a good reason to start thinking about upgrading to the newest version. Can I map buy at ask or sell at bid on plus or minus a few cents? Yeah. Well, yes and no. One of the things you can do is if I go here to the gear, and I go to the keyboard option here, notice that this is a stop and limit offset ticks from last price. So you can set an offset from last, and this is going to be exactly what your price is going to be. But you can quickly change your price by using the up and down arrow key before placing the trade, which is an option. Let's take a look at some other questions here in the chat, because I want to show you some other functionality here. Can you sell half and quarter? Yes, you can. Let's say, for example, I have my limit order there. Let's suppose that I want to make it a marketable order. So I'm going to press the tab key, go up to 31.96.25, hit enter. I get filled. I'm going to buy again a few contracts. Let's buy 4. So I'm going to do Control B,
Order fill.
Control B,
Order fill.
Control B.
Order fill.
So I did it 3 times in order to buy 4 contracts. Maybe not the best way to get into a position. I should change the quantity to 4 and then hit the Control B. But I wanted you guys to see how quickly you can place these trades. Now, if I come here to my keyboard mapping, the market's going to close for the S&P, but that's okay. We'll go to a different market. Here in the quantity, you can set the quantity by percentages, and you can set those here by edit remove. So if I want to exit 25%, I just have to do Control +2. So here, let me show you. Take a look at the quantity up here, but if I do Control 2, let me place that trade and see. Control, let's see. That's if you wanted to do not a market order. So whenever it's a market order, it will be the quantity here. So that you have to set yourself. So, but if I wanted to, for example, let's say that I wanted to sell at 32.20 or 3200. What I do is I do Alt-S, I push the order up, I say I want to buy half or a quarter of the position, so I do Control 2, it changes the quantity, and then I hit the Enter key. So that's only a quarter of my position, which is a limit of 1. If I do Alt-S again, I can do another contract right here at 3204. Control 2 for 25 of my position. And then I can do, the market closed, so cannot route order. Okay, so the S&P E-mini is closed. The stock market is closed. What options are there for us to use as an example? I'll see if you guys can give me any suggestions. I thought of using maybe Forex, we're not a broker in Forex, but I can use some examples on data for Forex if that's something that you guys want to see. Let's see. Let's see. I just get in. Any idea? Please send the steps to follow. Not really sure what you refer to as ESOM. If you can, please give me a little bit more detail. Can I resize the chart trading box smaller to fix my screen? You know, this chart trading takes a size of its own. You have a scroll bar here that you can move it up and down. And that's because I have my screen set to a certain magnification. Nowadays, you know, screens are so good in resolution that it fits everything so nicely. So you shouldn't have any issues by going higher on your resolution. Okay, someone's asking about the difference between GTC and GTD. Not related to keyboard trading, but I'll just give you a brief explanation. GTC is good till cancel. So the order remains in the market until you cancel it, up to 90 days. It's not forever, but up to 90 days. GTD is good till date. So you have to specify a date on which the order is going to be canceled. Now the plus sign is for orders that are going to be working outside of the regular session. So anybody that uses a duration, let me go here to the duration, not applicable for futures, but if you trade stocks and you're trading with a duration that has a plus, that is for extended hours. That's when the markets are closed and you are trading in the pre-market or the post-market, okay? Can you set a bracket order with the hotkey? Yes, you can. Let's go ahead and go to a different symbol here. What is open at the moment? Anybody know? Any futures trading at this moment? Does anybody know if there's any futures trading at this moment? Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the duration to GTC. Is gold trading right now? Let's see. GCU20. They're all closed. Somebody said they're all closed. So let me go back to ESU20. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the duration to GTC. And if I go here to my keyboard trading, let me go here to the mapping again. Take a look. I have a place OCO with an Alt-O. I mapped it to Alt-O. You know, you can choose whatever keyboard combination you choose. So if I do that, it's going to use whatever is included here in the OCO functionality and send it to the market. Let me go ahead and choose an exit bracket. One limit, one stop. I can choose the settings here. I haven't tweaked it right now, but I'm going to choose something or an offset that makes it easier to understand. I'm going to set these to 20. 20 ticks, which is 5 points. 5 points higher and 5 points lower. And if I do Alt-O on my keyboard, notice that I'm using the hotkey combination again, Alt-O, it's going to ask me or prompt and say that I'm placing a GTC. I know because I changed the duration myself. I'm going to say yes, but take a look at the orders right there. So Alt-O places that OCO for me. With keyboard trading, I have the ability to modify those orders if I want to by pressing the Tab key. So if I press Tab, notice that it highlights the top order first. And if I press Tab again, it highlights the second order. So if you have an OCO that has multiple targets and multiple stops, by pressing the Tab key, you're able to cycle through all those different orders if you want to make any changes. So if I press Tab again, it'll go back to the first one, allowing me to change my price. So let's say that I want to change the price to 32.04. I hit Enter. I'm gonna say yes here, and it changes the order to 32.04. Of course, I get that GTC prompt because the markets are closed, but I'm just showing you the functionality that with a hotkey combination, you're able to set or send the OCO that is displayed right here in the trade bar. So a lot of the things that keyboard trading is going to do are associated with the selections that you make right here in chart trading. For example, when we talked about sending market orders, we paid attention to the quantity up here, because when you use a hotkey combination that sends a market order, it doesn't give you a chance to update the quantity before the order goes through. So it'll use whatever quantity is displayed right here on the trade bar. The same goes for OCO. When I go here to the settings, or when I go here to the keyboard mapping, and I choose Alt-O as the hotkey combination to place an OCO, there's no settings here that allow me to select the type of OCO, because this hotkey combination that I select here, of course, is directly associated with the OCO that is right here on chart trading. So whatever settings I put in here are going to be used in that OCO. That's why when I went over here and I clicked on the ellipsis and I changed the price offset to 20, it used that exactly for my OCO. But pressing the tab key allows me to cycle through the orders and be able to change those with the up and down arrows. Let's take a look at some questions. All right. I think I missed my place here. So yes, we do bracket orders with hotkeys. We already demonstrated that. The setting quantity using the key remains the same. It should. Yes, when you set the quantity using a hotkey, it should remember the quantity. Always, when you're sending orders, take a look at the quantity up here. This box, this yellow box, which I talked about earlier, it shows the price and it shows the quantity. I'm not sure why on my screen it's showing the price right on top of the quantity, so it's really hard to read. If you're using this on your TradeStation, does it show the price on top of the quantity? It should show them side by side, so you can see the quantity and the price that you're going to be trading with that order. All right. As I said earlier, stop limit orders are not available, although when I come over here to the keyboard mapping, we do have access to stop market orders, and we do have access to limit orders, and we do have access to trailing stop. So if you want to do a trailing stop, you can also add a hotkey combination to that type of order. Remember that when you submit any of these types of orders, it'll show you a horizontal line allowing you to move that order up and down with your keyboard arrows. Let me go ahead and cancel all these orders. And I won't be able to close the position, but I'll show you some other entries. I have a position here for 4 contracts. Let's suppose that we want to do, yeah, I cannot close that position. That's fine. Let's go here to the mapping of the hotkeys again. I don't have a hotkey combination for stops, so let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to go here to click on Add. And in this particular case, I'm going to do the stop market for the selling transaction. I'm going to go to Add. Let's see. I'm going to do, I already have Alt-X mapped out for closing open orders and closed positions. So this is a very interesting one. It's very interesting because sometimes you want to get rid of everything very quickly, and mapping a hotkey to cancel all open orders and closing positions works very well as a panic button. If everything is going against you and you want to cancel everything and close out of the market, I have mine mapped to Alt-X. So I know that pressing Alt-X not only will cancel any active orders, it'll also close any open positions that I have here on the screen. Let's go ahead and see. I was going to do a stop market order. Let's suppose that I'm not going to use a modifier. I'm going to use an F key. I'm going to use an F5 and click OK. Notice that F5 shows there. And for the trailing stop, let's do Control and F5 for a trailing stop. Okay, so I have those 2 keys right there. So right here, if I do F5, it's going to show me a horizontal line where the stop would be. Again, if I use the down arrow key, I can always modify the place of my stop. And when I'm ready, I just hit the enter key and it's going to place that stop for me. If I wanted to cancel that order, remember that I can do Alt X. What do I have for cancel orders only? Because for Alt X is my cancel and close. If I just want to cancel active orders, I have a separate action here that says cancel all open orders, and that's Control X. So if I press Control X here in my keyboard, it's going to cancel that stop for me. Let's do the trailing stop to see how it looks. I'm going to do Control F5. Okay, and that's my stop right here. It probably used a 1% trailing stop. Not really sure. Let's see. Let me go ahead and go here into the mapping. This is a short trailing stop. If you edit it, doesn't really allow you to specify what the amount is for the trailing stop. Let's go here to the price or the quantity. It doesn't tell you there. That is something that I may have to look into. But there's a lot of things here that you can map a hotkey to. For example, even if you go to the other tab, notice that you can decrease the trail amount by 1 price increment. You can disable chart trading also with a hotkey. Also, you can do a hotkey to disable keyboard trading. Notice how escape is to exit the order preview. So this is a very cool way of dealing or using your chart trading functionality with the help of hotkeys. Let's go ahead and take a look at some other questions here. When using the trade bar, can you trade dollar amount instead of share quantity? This is a question from John. Not here, not on the chart trading functionality. You can see how quantity is only the number of shares or number of contracts. So we don't have the ability to trade a dollar amount. That is something that is reserved for the trade bar at the top of TradeStation when you go up here. So you can do a dollar amount if you want to. And you can also do it on the matrix. But when you use chart trading, they haven't incorporated the dollar per trades. Let's see. Yeah, I agree. I agree, Neil. This is some sort of a bad time for a webinar, especially when it's order entry. I'm gonna make sure that next order entry tutorial or webinar is actually done during the market hour, so we can see all the examples in a live demonstration. When you customize the commands in keyboard, this is a good question from Craig. When you customize the commands in keyboard trading, do they become the new universal hotkeys outside of the keyboard trading function? Great question. And as we said at the very beginning of the presentation, these hotkey or hotkeys that you're using for this example only apply to this chart and only this chart. If you go somewhere else, they're not active anymore. And I want you to pay attention to what happens here. When the outline of chart trading is yellow, it means that it's active, meaning that any hotkey that you have assigned will work here. But if you go to a different window, let's go ahead and click here on the top on the trade bar. If I go somewhere else like the trade bar, notice how it disables keyboard trading. If I go to the trade bar, I don't have the yellow outline. So any hotkey that I press now will not work. It's only when I see that yellow outline right here in chart trading. So, and that way, I mean, you can go anywhere else and not be concerned that you're going to be placing a trade accidentally. All right. Can you decrement shares from a stop loss or profit target order with keyboard trading? Yes. In fact, let me go ahead and cancel this trade. I'm going to do, what is Control X? Yeah, Control X. Let's say, for example, notice that I have four contracts here. I'm going to do a selling transaction. I'm going to do Control S. Where did that go? Let's go ahead and see what the mapping, what the hotkey combination S. If I want to sell, well, Control S is at market. Market is going to be, of course, rejected. But if I do Alt S, it's going to be a limit. Let's do that. So if I do Alt S, it gives me the horizontal line. If I look over here behind this price again, On your screen, it should look side by side. I can change the quantity by using the up arrow keys on my keyboard. Not the up arrow keys. If you use up arrow or down arrow, you're going to be changing the price. And you can see how the line changes as you press the up arrow and the down arrow. If you want to adjust the quantity, you do the page down and page up. These are keys on your keyboard as well. I'm using a laptop right now, and I know that in order for me to use page up and page down, I have to hold a function key right here. This is limitations that you have on a laptop, but you should have a page down and page up. Here, if I do page up, I can choose the full quantity of 4 or even more if I wanted to. So this way you can set multiple levels as you go up in prices. How do we adjust the zoom for the text under the reverse and close buttons? Yeah, you know, the text that you see in the buttons is actually controlled by your screen resolution. What I do on my TradeStation, if I want everything to look a little bit bigger, is I go into the settings of my display and I start playing around with the magnification. There is a percentage that everything resizes to that you can set. Like, for example, right now, my TradeStation is set to 250% magnification. If I set it to 100, which would be 1-to-1, if I set it to, it'll be extremely small. Why? Because I'm using a 4K monitor here. This presentation has been recorded. It'll be available on YouTube. It'll take us a couple days to route the recording, edit it, and post it for you to play it back. I'm glad, Ron, you like the functionality. I also like it. I like the fact that you can place trades very quickly. The hardest part here, and this is for everyone, the hardest part here is, first of all, choosing the key combination that is going to trigger a certain action. So you have to choose a hotkey combination. And the second hardest thing here is remembering what hotkey combination you chose for a particular action. Once you have that down, once you have everything mapped and you have everything here in memory as to what hotkey combination does what, it's just a matter of pressing the hotkeys and trading away. I want you to try this on the simulator. Do not attempt to try this or learn this using your capital. That's why we do offer you a trading simulator so that you can test this and not risk your own capital. All right. If you want to attach an OSO, that's a great question, Ron. If you want to attach an OSO, which is the checkbox here, if I go here to the settings of mapping my hotkeys, take a look at this one right here. Where is it? Because I know that it's here. Maybe in other. Let me go to orders. Place OCO. Here it is, toggle. Toggle attach OSO checkbox. I have mine set to Control O. So you don't have a hotkey that sends an OSO, but you have a hotkey that checks the box. That way you don't have to grab the mouse and check the box. You can just press the hotkey. So let me go ahead and click OK here. Let me cancel, let me escape out of this. All right. I wish I could have closed that. Markets are closed right now, so I won't be able to close it. Let's choose another contract here. Let me go to NQU20, which is the NASDAQ. All right, so keyboard trading is enabled. Let's suppose that I want to send a buy order with an OSO. Well, first of all, I know that Control O is going to enable this feature. So if I do Control O now, you see how it's checked? If I do Control O again, it disables it. So if you want to send, if you're going to send a buy order for any symbol, in this case it's the NASDAQ September 2020 contract, if you want to send a buy order, but at the same time you want to attach a bracket, you just have to do the following. First of all, Control O so that it enables your bracket up here. And then I'm going to do Control or Alt B so that it allows me to set my price. I'm going to do it at 10:5:30, hit enter. I'm placing a GTC, that's fine. But I want you to take a look at what happened on my screen. You see how it sends the 3 orders? So it's a two-step process. First of all, use the hotkey that you specified to toggle the checkbox on, and then just do the hotkey combination that sends the order. In my example here, I pressed Control O, which is the hotkey that I specified to toggle the checkbox, and then I pressed Alt B, which is the hotkey that I picked to send a buy order, and that buy order, of course, sent those attached exits as well. All right, let's see. Is it possible to set a limit sell and a trail market stop? Yes, you can. What you would need to do, let me see if I have a key for that here, because I know that I saw something here in the other that says select next OSO template. I'm going to do here, let's select something here that allows me to Control Alt. I'm going to do Alt O to select the next template. It's already in use. Huh. So I do Control O. I'll do Control P for whatever reason. Next OSO template. So I know that Control O will toggle that checkbox on or off. So Control O. And I do Control P will select the next template. So notice how my templates here are changing as I press Control P. So if you want to do a stop only, you can select it right there. Now, if you wanted to do a trail stop market, maybe that is something that we haven't incorporated into keyboard trading. So that's something that we need to work on. If you wanted to do a buy order or a sell order and have a trailing stop attached, that is something that is not available at the moment. Is the matrix still available for version 10? Most definitely. OSO is at the bottom. Sorry, I didn't see it. That's okay, Ron. Okay. What's the difference between exit bracket, 1 limit, 1S? This is from Oscar. And entry, BF, buy or sell. You know, that's a good question. Don't have time to explain that right here, but if you send me an email, I'll be glad to provide you with a link to a video that explains OCOs and OSOs. In fact, you can find that video on the TradeStation YouTube channel. All you need to do is search for OCO or OSO, and you'll find a lot of video that explains the differences between the templates. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look. Can I use the chart trading toolbar on a workspace with multiple charts where I can click on any of the charts which have chart trading enabled and it'll work? If you have chart trading enabled, everything that you map in one is carried over to the next one. So if you have a workspace, Chris, that has 5 or 4 different chart analysis windows on a 1 minute, on a 5 minute, on a daily, and they all have chart trading enabled, the settings that you set in one carry over to the other one. It's like overall settings. So you don't have to do it on every chart individually. Once you set it in one, it works on all the charts, and all you need to do is click on that chart if you want to trade that particular symbol. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look. For any technical problems, by the way, I know some comments here that are more like technical issues you're having with the functionality. If you're having any technical issues with this functionality, I recommend you contact our technical support department. They are great at troubleshooting your TradeStation platform and finding the resolution to any problems. Yes, and Craig, that's a good point. You know, the macro functionality in TradeStation, and when I say macro is I'm referring to view, shortcuts, macros. This functionality of macros also has a hotkey functionality associated with it. So these two hotkeys functionality don't work together. So the hotkeys that you turn on chart trading do not work if you are using hotkeys for macros, and vice versa. If you're using, the hotkeys for chart trading, then it disables the hotkeys for the macro. So these cannot be used together. You have to use one or the other. Okay. I'm looking at some questions here. Yeah, and Craig, to your point, the keyboard trading functionality is rather new. I say rather new because it's only available. It's only been available for maybe a year or two, maybe a couple years. So we're still working on enhancing the functionality. So new commands are coming in. But if you look on the little mapping dialog, there's a lot that is built into the keyboard mapping that allows you to do a lot of these orders. Once you use Julio, I see, can you drag and change price from the chart? Yes. Once you use a hotkey combination to place a trade, you can always use the mouse to click and drag an order to drop it in a different location at a different price. So it doesn't disable chart trading. I think of keyboard trading as a way of enhancing what you can do with chart trading. Once you enable it, you can still manage your orders by clicking and dragging on those lines, which gives your chart trading functionality a little bit more flexibility. All right. All right. So I think we are done here. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your question, but we've been presenting for almost an hour, and I just want to make sure that we end the class at the correct time. We are going to post the recording of this presentation in our YouTube channel, so you're welcome to play the video at a later time if you missed anything during the presentation. If you have any questions about the functionality, as I said earlier, our customer support team is great at handling these type of questions. You can give them a call and they'll explain the functionality to you step by step. We do apologize for the wait times on the phones. Now with the pandemic, we are working with a limited staff, and I want you guys to be aware of that. So we do appreciate your patience, but our customer support team is great at answering those questions. I want to invite everyone to join the masterclass channel on youcantrade.com. There is a 14-day free trial, and you can check out the content. We have classes there on technical analysis, classes on easy language. We have classes on strategy development. So there's a lot of content there that is premium content that can take your use of TradeStation to the next level. I also do weekly classes on TradeStation basic functionality. So make sure that you check out the content there. Thank you guys for spending this time with me, and I hope to see you in a future event right here at TradeStation. Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for being part of the TradeStation family. Goodbye, everyone.